In this video, we are going to be looking at Kautilya. Kautilya writes extensively not only on the internal affairs of the state, but also writes on foreign policy and external relations. We have seen Kautilya's idea of state in the form of the Saptanga theory before. There are two parts to Kautilya's foreign policy and external relations theory. The first one is the Rajamandala theory, or the circle of states, or simply called the Mandala theory. The second one is the Shadguna Siddhanta, a 6-point foreign policy philosophy. We will look at the Mandala theory or the Rajamandala theory first. The Mandala theory or the circle of states. The conqueror is called the Vijigishu and he is the focal point of the Mandala theory. Kautilya is a realist. The Mandala theory is based on the assumption that the neighbor is a threat or an enemy. The neighbor's neighbor is a natural ally because he would be a threat to the enemy. I repeat, Kautilya is a realist. The conqueror or the Vijigishu is the focal point of the Mandala theory. The Mandala theory is based on the assumption that the neighbor is a threat or an enemy. The neighbor's neighbor is a natural ally because he would be a threat to the enemy. The Mandala theory consists of 4 major types of states. The first one, as we saw before, is the Vijigishu or the conqueror. The second one is the Ari. Ari is the enemy. The third one is the Madhyama. The Madhyama is the middle state or the swing state. Fourth one is the Udasina, that is the neutral outlier. So the Udasina is the neutral outlier. So there are 4 types of states that we look at in the Mandala theory. The first one is the Vijigishu, the second one is the Ari, the third one is the Madhyama, and the fourth one is the Udasina. The Vijigishu is the circle of states that is desirous of conquest and wants to extend his territory. There are 3 circles, that is the Vijigishu, his friend and his friend's friend. This can be seen in the diagram that is represented. So the Vijigishu is the circle of states that is desirous of conquests and wants to extend his territory. Ari is the circle of states adjacent to the Vijigishu. Ari is the enemy. Again, there are 3 circles here. Ari, the enemy, the enemy's friend, the enemy's friend's friend. So these are the 3 circles. Again, this can be seen in the representation. Madhyama is the middle territory. The Madhyama king is capable of helping either the Vijigishu or the Ari. Hence, he is called the swing state. That is, the Madhyama can side either with the Vijigishu or the Ari. He is the middle territory. The Madhyama state is generally stronger than both the Vijigishu and the Ari. The Madhyama can play a very important role in the outcome of a fight between the Vijigishu and the Ari. Once again, here there are 3 circles of states. The Madhyama, his friend and his friend's friend. So the Madhyama is the middle territory and he can play a very important role in the outcome of a fight between the Vijigishu and the Ari. And the Madhyama is generally stronger than Ari and the Vijigishu. Udasina is the kingdom that lies outside the territory of all the above kingdoms and circles of states. Udasina is the most powerful of all these kingdoms. He is neutral. There are 3 circles again, the Udasina, his friend and his friend's friends. Hence there are 12 kingdoms that we look at in this model. I hope this much is clear. Now we will look at Shadguna Siddhanta. Shadguna Siddhanta is a 6-point foreign policy philosophy that Kautilya gives. The Shadguna Siddhanta is a guiding philosophy for the Vijigishu to tackle external affairs. That is, it is an aiding philosophy for him to become a successful conqueror. I repeat, the Shadguna Siddhanta is a guiding policy for the Vijigishu to tackle external affairs. It is an aiding philosophy for him to become a successful conqueror. Kautilya is a realist. His principles reflect the same. There are 6 principles that he gives in the Shadguna Siddhanta. They are Sandhi. Sandhi means a treaty of peace. Second, Vigraha. Vigraha means war or aggression. The third one is asana. Asana means rest or neutrality. The fourth one is yana. Yana is preparation for war or marching for war. The fifth one is sanshraya. Sanshraya means allies with other kings or seeking shelter or ashraya from other kings. This is called sanshraya. Then the sixth one is called dvaidi bhava. Dvaidi bhava means dual policy of peace with one territory and war with another. So these are the six points that come under the Shadguna Siddhanta. Let's look at these concepts in detail. Sandhi. Sandhi means a treaty of peace. There are three different meanings that we see. Sama. Sama means quiet. Sandhi means a peace treaty. And Samadhi means reconcilement. Sandhi encompasses all of these three meanings. That is, it means to be quiet, it means a peaceful treaty, it means reconcilement. Kautilya says that peace is always preferable to war. If the advantages offered by war and peace are the same, or at least nearly the same, then peace is preferred. I repeat, Kautilya always prefers peace to war. If the advantages offered by war and peace are nearly the same, then peace is to be preferred. Once again, Kautilya's realist side comes out very clearly. Sandhi also involves making peace with an enemy kingdom if it is very much stronger and there are no hopes of defeating the enemy even after using the Mandala theory and by taking the help of the allies. So if the enemy is stronger, Kautilya says that Sandhi is the best option. Sandhi also gives time to the Vijigishu to become stronger over time so that he can eventually defeat the stronger enemy. I repeat, Sandhi also gives time to the Vijigishu to become stronger over time so that he can eventually defeat the stronger enemy. The third one we look at is Vigraha. Vigraha means war or aggression. Vigraha is a war or aggression against the enemy. Vigraha is preferable when Sandhi doesn't result in the expected results. I repeat, Vigraha is war or aggression against the enemy and it is preferable only when Sandhi does not result in the expected result. For a king to adopt Vigraha as a policy, the opponent has to be weaker so that the chances of a victory in the war are high. So Kautilya says that if the opponent is weaker, then Vigraha or war is an option. Clearly, the king has to choose between Sandhi and Vigraha. As explained before, the king needs to calculate the strength of his enemies, his chances of victory, the rewards of such a victory, etc. So a clear cost-benefit analysis is to be done before engaging in a war, and a war is advisable only against a weaker opponent. So Kautilya says the king must indulge in a cost-benefit analysis before engaging in a war with an enemy. If the enemy is weaker, then the king can engage him in a war. Otherwise, Sandhi is preferred. Sandhi is preferred to Vigraha if Sandhi manages to achieve the necessary objectives. However, if a king decides to go to war, he marches upon the enemy. This is called Yana. So Yana is the next policy that we look at. Yana means preparing for war or marching to war. If the ruler chooses the policy of Vigraha, then he marches upon the enemy. This march against the enemy is called as Yana. Yana is taken upon only when the king is sure of victory. If the chances of victory are low, then Yana is not an acceptable policy. I repeat, if the ruler chooses the policy of Vigraha, then he marches upon the enemy. Yana is taken upon only when the king is sure of victory. If the chances of victory is low, then Yana is not an acceptable policy. The next one we look at is Asana. Asana means rest or neutrality. Asana means rest. This is the policy of waiting because the enemy is either too strong to act right now, or it is not the right time to act because over time the king expects the enemy to get weaker, making way for an easier victory. I repeat, asana means rest. This is a policy of waiting because the enemy is either too strong right now to attack, or It is not the right time to act because over time, the Vijigishu expects the enemy to get weaker, making way for an easier victory. Asana could also mean neutrality. It is about taking no part in unwanted action. If it is not your fight, don't get involved. So asana could also mean neutrality. It is about taking no part in unwanted action. Being quiet and taking no action is an accepted action in foreign policy. Please remember this. Being quiet and taking no action is an accepted action in foreign policy. The fifth one we look at is Sanshraya. Sanshraya is becoming allies with other kings or seeking shelter from other kings. Sanshraya is about seeking ashraya or shelter from an ally or from a stronger king who can keep the enemy in check. It is better to seek shelter with an other king than to be defeated and routed by the enemy. This policy is used when war cannot be stopped or won. I repeat, this policy is used when war cannot be stopped or won. In a way, the king accepts the suzerainty of the king with whom he seeks shelter. So under Sanshraya, the king or the Vijigishu accepts the suzerainty of the king with whom he seeks shelter. The sixth policy is called Dvaidi Bhava. Dvaidi Bhava means the dual policy of peace with one territory and war with another. Dvaidi Bhava is the dual policy of peace with one territory and war with another. That is Sandhi with one, Vigraha with another. This is clear in the Rajamandala theory as well. Allies are necessary both to keep the enemy in check and to defeat the enemy when Vigraha and Yana are the chosen policies. Allies are necessary both to keep the enemy in check and to defeat an enemy when Vigraha and Yana are the chosen policies. Dvaidi Bhava is a shrewd and realist foreign policy tool. So these are the six-fold foreign policy tools that Kautilya gives to his king. So this concludes the Mandala theory. The Mandala theory on a broader scale includes the circle of states and the six-fold foreign policy. Let's look at a recap. The six-fold foreign policy tools are Sandhi, Vigraha, Asana, Yana, Sanshraya and Dvaidi Bhava. In addition, on a broader theme, Kautilya also gives the following. Sama, Dama, Danda, Beda. This is in addition to all the policies that we have given. So on a broader scheme, you can look at Sama, Dhamma, Danda, Beda. Sama is conciliation, Dhamma is gifts and rewards, Danda is punishment, Beda is dividing the enemy or sowing dissension. So in fact, all of these four also come within the six-fold foreign policy if you look at it. So Sama, Dhamma, Danda, Beda is also something that Kautilya gives as a toolkit to his king. This concludes the video on Mandala theory. Thank you.